Well, this is definitely one of those true stories that deserved a movie. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. As part of my coverage of the 2022 Toronto International Film Festival, today I'm going to be talking about the 2022 sports drama, The Swimmers, which will be released on Netflix on November 23rd. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. The Swimmers stars Manal Issa, Nathalie Issa, and Ahmed Malek, and was directed by Sally El-Hosaini. Based on the real lives of Yusra and Sarah Mardini, it tells the story of the teenage sisters' escape from Syria as refugees, as well as their Olympic dreams. Movies that are based on true stories can sometimes be a bit hit or miss. Sometimes the story is so amazing or unbelievable or important that it makes complete sense that it's getting a movie, whereas other times you kind of question why this story gets the movie treatment over thousands of other untold stories. And then, of course, you've got the movie itself, which not only has to convey information to people, information that they could just go look up if they wanted, but also do it in a way that's worthy of the true story being told. Because that story alone does not make a movie. The story at the heart of The Swimmers is definitely one that's worthy of the movie treatment. Yusra and Sarah Mardini's story is both harrowing and inspirational, so I was excited to get a chance to watch The Swimmers at TIFF's opening night premiere this year. This is definitely a crowd-pleasing film. The inspirational nature of this true story translates to the movie. It's a very inspiring film that'll have people in awe of what the Mardini sisters went through and also what they went on to accomplish. Especially throughout the first half of the story, the movie hits the emotional beats well, largely thanks to the strong performances by real-life sisters Manal and Nathalie Issa. But despite the crowd-pleasing inspiration, The Swimmers ends up ringing a little hollow overall. It sports a strange tone for the story being told, opting for upbeat pop music and stylized sequences throughout the film, giving everything a level of glossiness that seems at odds with the refugee story. It's one of those films that takes a very heavy, harrowing story and cleans it up and polishes it all a little too much, so a lot of the impact gets lost. It's a feel-good movie, but it's lacking much else. The Swimmers is broken up into 3 very distinct acts. The first 2 are definitely the strongest parts of the film. Yusra and Sarah's time in Syria and then their refugee journey to Europe are not only impactful and moving, but also offer variation. There are different locations, a variety of different characters, action, and things other than just constantly sitting around talking. It's within these first 2 acts that essentially all of the emotional moments lie. There's a very strong sequence during the second act that involves a raft, and it's easily the best part of the movie, combining emotion, tension, and strong storytelling. Similarly, there's an aerial zoom-out shot on a beach that has more impact than 95% of this movie combined. Those first 2 acts feel cohesive and related to one another, focusing largely on the refugee story as well as the relationship and bond between the 2 sisters. But then the third act hits, and it becomes a very different type of movie. It basically transforms into an incredibly standard sports drama. It's fine, and it hits all the genre beats you expect it to, but it is very generic, especially when compared to the first 2/3 of the story. And it's a shame, because this part of the real-life true story is also amazing, but the film's structure and reliance on genre tropes don't do it any justice. There's no doubt that Yusra and Sarah Mardini's true story is remarkable and incredibly inspirational, but The Swimmers is a movie that does an underwhelming job of telling that story. It takes something that's complex and rough and tries to fit it into an easily digestible, safe, sanitized feel-good movie mold. I can understand pulling back on the more harrowing details and leaning into the inspirational stuff as a way to ensure that people want to watch the movie, but this just devolves into such a conventional story that runs too long and also hits all of the most predictable beats. It maintains the inspirational nature of the true story, but the crowd-pleasing drama construct takes away from most of the impact. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is how inspirational this movie is. Now, almost all of the credit for this goes to the true story. Yusra and Sarah's journey and the things that they went on to accomplish are amazing, and a real testament to perseverance, hope, and courageousness. The film is able to capture most of the inspirational nature of that true story, and definitely presents it in a very crowd-pleasing way, but it does feel a little hokey at times as a result. The second pro has gotta be Manal and Nathalie Issa. These real-life sisters, playing the also real-life sisters at the heart of the story, are one of the film's greatest assets. The fact that they actually are sisters and have that sisterly bond really helps with their performance, and the ability to believably portray the shifting dynamics of that relationship. On the con side, the biggest issue is the tone. This movie just comes across as way too glossy and sanitized for the story being told. I can understand dialing back on some of the more intense stuff or the atrocities that the Mardini sisters had to have faced, but by removing pretty much all of them and replacing them with a very upbeat, stylized tone, it takes away from some of the impact of the story. It's a PG-13 movie, but the style and tone and just the way the story's told feels like it's aimed at younger viewers, or at the very least, intentionally crafted in a way that would be suitable for younger viewers. It kind of has that made to be shown at school sort of vibe to it. Con number two is the structure. This film follows a 3-act format, which is fairly standard for movies, but unfortunately, the execution of that 3-act structure is incredibly uneven here. It almost feels like two different movies. The first movie is made up of Yusra and Sarah's time in Syria, their decision to leave, and the intense journey that they took as refugees to escape Syria. The second movie is a very conventional sports drama, focusing on swimming training and the classic build-up to the big game, in this case, the Rio Olympics. Both parts are okay, and are both based in truth, but the way the narrative is structured, it prevents the story from feeling particularly cohesive, again, taking away from the impact of that inspirational true story. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying any of the films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give The Swimmers 3 out of 5 paws. Driven by its inspirational true story and pair of performances by sisters Manal and Nathalie Issa, this film works best when telling its refugee journey. Unfortunately, it devotes a lot of time to overly conventional sports drama beats, resulting in a crowd-pleasing but underwhelmingly predictable telling of a powerful true story. I would recommend The Swimmers to fans of feel-good sports dramas, or really any positively inclined Netflix drama. This has a very streaming movie feel to it, but it's certainly crowd-pleasing and inspirational. If you're a fan of swimming, the Olympics, or are looking for a refugee story that never delves into anything too disturbing or intense, you might also be somebody who would enjoy this film. If you liked The Swimmers, I would recommend Flee. This is another compelling story of a refugee fleeing their country, Afghanistan in this case, and is presented in a very unique way, as an animated documentary. If you're looking for another film that focuses on Syria and isn't afraid to show some of the harsher, grittier realities, you might want to watch For Sama, which, despite its bluntness, still manages to remain an emotional and powerful story. And if you're interested in another sports drama about swimming, you should watch Streamline. It's another film about a teenage Olympic hopeful who has to overcome issues from his past in order to continue pushing towards his dreams. Alright, a couple of questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen The Swimmers? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's your favorite movie about swimming? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies. The way life should be.